heavy wooden doors, more than twice your height, stand shut in front of you. The rectangular sea-worn ornamentation appears in stark contrast to the padlock, carelessly drilled into the wood. The carving on the door is block-like and angular, like the church itself. Two large beams shoot downwards, sinking into the wood before they reach the threshold. The surface is smooth from the wind, but moist to the touch. This cheap-looking padlock is sturdily built. It shackles together a hasp and a staple screwed into the wooden door. The lock is adorned with a yellow sticker. It'll be easier to break the staple than the lock. Also, that sticker is interesting, somehow. You see a yellow circle with two X's and a big curve below them that looks like a mouth. You're pretty sure you haven't seen it before, but what the symbol depicts is clear enough. A smiling dead guy. The curve makes it smile, and the X's make it dead. There is something blindingly modern about this symbol. Its modernness puts to shame everything you've seen before. This cheap-looking padlock is sturdily built. It'll be easier to break the staple than the lock. Also, that sticker is interesting, somehow. There's nothing like the sound of a sticker unpeeling. Now it's stuck to your thumb. Voila! Looks very modern. You're part of the future brigade now, and so is your formerly humdrum ledger. Neon, baby. The lock turns easily. You hear a click as the shackle pops open.
Let's go.
A great whoosh of air rushes into the dark innards of the church, as though rushing to fill a great vacuum in the heart of the city. The silence in this part of the church, it's almost palpable. All the shifting matter and shuffling of living things is gone. Nothing seems to exist beyond the church anymore. Maybe if you were to stand in just the right spot, even your footsteps would be completely silent. And then it's gone, almost all of it, but for the faintest of hums. It seems the sound here is detached from its source somehow, if not blotted out outright. Truly unusual. Sounds like the Pale. From recordings of the Far Pale, you've heard them. We all have. You can hardly hear your own breathing. Your voice is barely audible. Not a howl, but the softest of whimpers. You produce a few muffled thumps, after which the silence feels even more total, somehow. The lieutenant points to his ears and shakes his head. Then he leans closer.
Can you hear anything? I wonder why the church was built with such strange acoustics.
Maybe the church was designed this way to prevent boisterous activity, singing and dancing on its premises.
Could be.
He doesn't seem entirely convinced, though. The orderly rows of ceiling panels become barely visible, then disappear completely in the darkness of the tower overhead. Just darkness without end. It makes your head spin. Filled with vague shapes of woodwork, the sense of a great height. There's nothing. You're dizzy and disoriented as you see dark and more dark rising.
Officer, what are you looking at?
You see something hanging from the rafters, looking straight at you with dark eyes. Maybe it's possible to talk to it. Is that a man? Looks more like part of the carpentry of the building came alive and is now studying you intently. The Crab Man. The man leaned forward a little, fixing you with a steady, unreadable gaze, then speaks.
Habitual alcohol use has made you into a scared little pussy, Holmes. But don't worry, everything's gonna be alright. You come to the right place.
That accent is Villalobos, a peninsula in Mesk and a district in Jamrock. There's a sizable contingent of Villalobos-speaking Mesks in Revachol.
Here you can receive the mother's love. And when you're ready, she will take your hand and lift you out of the despair at the bottom of that bottle.
This man is obviously a habitual narcotics user. Do we really need to question him?
Hey, and what was that about the bottle again? You haven't even drank that much lately. Lay off it already. Shish.
Está crudo, way. I see deep inside you. Your body and your spirit are suffering greatly from overindulgence. And you don't even know it. I know it's hard to admit that you have a problem. I was like you once. Couldn't take an honest look at the damage El Reno was doing to my mind and my spirit.
You know, actually, since we're here, you may want to pay attention to what the ceiling climber is saying.
Don't trust me. Trust the mother. I'm only the messenger, Holmes. This is the Church of the Mother of Silence. You are welcome here.
You have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. Is he just trying to throw you off your game? Whatever it is, he's quite confident about it. Just look how gracefully he sways. 'Tis not an act, my liege, save him perchance he hath deceived his very self. This man is a zealot.
Never known myself to be a crab, but if that's the name you got for me, I won't stop you from using it. I always thought of myself more like a flame, flickering along the rafters and beams. It may be that I gotta work on my technique.
That's not the only technique he's working on. Look at those carved sculptures. And is that a satchel of tools over there?
Sure am. Whittling wood used to be something I just did to busy my hands. Now I use those same hands in service of something greater than my own restlessness.
All right, let's consider the context and meaning here.
It's all just for the mother, man. No need to overthink it. I was in a gangway, but my memories of that time are fading. Most of them are already gone. Nah, ese, it's not like that. Best thing that could happen to you, losing your memory.
Do you remember your name, sir?
Tiago's my name, but those syllables don't mean much to me these days. A name isn't just your identity, but also, so to speak, your place amongst your fellows, your place in the world. I ain't got no use for such a place anymore. That's just the thing, Holmes. None of that matters. This is a special place. There's a perforation in the world up there, a way out into nothingness. This church was built around it for purposes of veneration. I circled it, nurtured by the silence bestowed by the mother. One of these days, I'll be pure enough to go drink from it directly. I think it was a long time ago. I had to share it like a skin to get closer to the center of the silence. You could have it. I don't need it anymore.
The scarf looks pretty dapper, actually.
Oh, that's no simple question, Essa. She is one who can be painted or sculpted. She is a cavity in the dark beyond sense. She saved me, but I couldn't describe her to you. No one can, Holmes, and no one ever will. I will be incinerated, but not destroyed. Finally, at one with the state of the world before reality began.
That sounds a bit like substitution behavior, no? You know a thing or two about that.
I'm a seraph, Holmes. I sing the mother's glory. I ain't from no Marietta, if that's what you're thinking. And the song I sing is Silent as the Mother.
Marietti is a mesque style of music and dance, commonly seen at all manner of festivities, especially weddings. It's delightfully quaint owing to its peasant origins. He lost his cool there for a moment. Seems you hit some nerve.
Hard to say. I think I did some construction work here, back when I still had material worries. Up there, I realized what the true purpose of the church was. Been spending a lot of time here ever since. The past is nothing to me now, eh? It didn't belong to me. It's not like that at all, man. It's just faith and joyful service.
Too gleeful those words. He is lying. Not to you, to his very own self.
I heard that before, Way. And I know I can't convince you on the spot. But think, when's the last time you woke up from silent communion with a hangover, regretting what you did last night? She took you for a good spin, huh? Don't worry, bro. That love is but a drop compared to the ocean of the mother's love. The mother will eat all of you and never spit you out. No worries, man. I know this shit takes time.
The sinewy figure lingers on the wooden beams, blending into the shadows.
Police raid a while back.
Did you witness it?
Not really, or at least I don't remember much of it anymore. The mother's love has done its job. That's what's so great about the mother. It lets you forget about everything.
It looks like he truly doesn't remember. There's a vagueness to his sense of time.
The ones in the tent outside, right? I see them. Guessing they're the ones who call me a crab. Probably scared of me. Absolutely, man. Wouldn't bother me none to have them spin music in here. I'm usually way up there, imbibing. Might even be nice to have some company. The ones in the tent outside? Nah, man. They look pretty funny. And I don't harm no one anymore. Anyway. Why not? They wouldn't bother me none. I'm usually way up there, imbibing. Ain't no music on earth that can reach where I go. Might even be nice to have some company. The ones in the tent outside? Right? I see. Wouldn't bother me none to have them spin music in here. I'm usually way up there, imbibing. Might even be nice to have some company. Other spooker? Oh, esa viejita es muy estudiosa. Don't know, Holmes.
Viejita is grandma?
No. I just call her viejita because of her clothes. She's actually quite young. Or maybe not that young. Age is just one of the many masks we wear. That's what I said, Holmes. Don't really follow her comings and goings. Just see her typing on her computer now and then. We got different interests. I'm afraid not, Essay. You just have to wait until she comes back, or
search through her radio computer. Tremble. The time is now. Taola. Time for the show. For Taola. The hallowed time of fear and disintegration. a countdown has begun. All will collapse on itself. The world will disappear into a single grain of blackness. All sound will be muted. All life will scream. Ulogu theodos, xino zausin, ipoli osithien, echondes fronisin. Monday morning, the moment you arrived in this reality, are the first crack in the sheer face of God. From you it will spread. Yes, you spoke the words of the palindropos and the houses of Pericarnassus. Items, people, even words will tumble. All will lose its meaning in the coming years. That is why you marked yourself. It's totally also a coping mechanism. So you should be. The world island crumbles at your feet, and in the far plain, Palindropos. Perhaps, just a thought, this has something to do with the hangover. Okay, yes, maybe it is just the hangover talking, or some kind of joke you're playing on yourself instead of working on the case. A machine stands in the corner, watched over by the figures on the stained glass window. It's turned on and quivering with soft electricity.
Another radio computer. And this time it's already turned on. We should leave. I doubt this place bears any connection to the case. It's also quite similar to the one we have down at the station. Must be the same model.
The one you saw earlier was the Ream Civic. This is the Ream Prefect, a model number RC7024, equipped with a Fell mainframe and a Ream-compatible interim printer. The Ream Prefect is the governmental version of the commonly used Ream Civic model. Although mostly based on the same technology, the Ream Prefect is equipped with better noise attenuation circuits. You see fluorescent play and print buttons on the keyboard. A hatch connected to the central compartment is wide open. The lieutenant says nothing. You see the machine's glowing frame reflected back from his diamond-shaped glasses. You're free to proceed. Behind the hatch sits a cube-like crisscross of filaments, smoldering in the dark like fireflies. Silver tape on the side says, in black marker, log, February to March. Another filament memory. Press play to talk with the repeater. The speaker comes to life. Static seeps through the machine's planar magnetic driver. An old lady greets you. Her voice sounds 100 years old.
Good afternoon, Fortress Accident on Saint-Brune. This is the East Insulindian Repeater Station 1. Please repeat. Is this the personal log?
It's the same old woman you spoke with through the radio computer in the doomed commercial area.
Good, thank you. Please repeat. Is this the personal log? Good. Please repeat the password.
Let's look around. There's no use trying. Maybe he knows something.
Received. I will register this login attempt. Fortress accident. Is there anything else I can do for you today? I have two machines registered to this company name in Martinez. One on Saint-Brun, the other on Rue de Saint-Ghislaine.
Saint-Brun, that's the church. And Rue de Saint-Ghilaine? That's the doomed commercial area.
Anything else I can help you with? Goodbye, Fortress accident.
The machine's keyboard is... Nothing happens.
Oh, hey, wait. There's coffee in the back. Oh, wait. I meant the mother's love.
Coffee in the back. Something familiar about that. Coffee and stale cookies.
Look, man. I'm at liberty to talk about the sacred blaze of the mother's glorious heart, but not about the coffee. Too many times, essay, you need it for something.
Surveys are a good way to fish for personal information, especially in the name of public safety.
Don't sweat it, vato. The password is afterlife death. What you think of that? Makes me almost pity la niñita pequeña when I hear it. I think we're done here, Ese.
That was an interesting conversation. However, I'm still not sure how it's relevant to our investigation.
The machine's keyboard, the speaker comes to life. Static seeps through the machine's planar magnetic driver. An old lady greets you.
Good evening. Fortress accident on Saint-Brun. This good. Please repeat the password. Good. I have unlocked the filament. After ending the call, please press print to access the filament. Fortress accident. Is there anything else I can do for you today? Sleep well, Fortress accident.
The machine's keyboard, the printer prints out a long text document with dated paragraphs. It looks a bit like someone's journal. The first entry, made on the 4th of February, 51, by an unknown author, is short and concise. Arrived at the church. The door was boarded up, so I used the crowbar to get inside. Looks like the place has been deserted. Nothing out of the ordinary, but I'll ask around. Need to figure out how to get the electricity in. The lieutenant leans closer, scouring the printout over your shoulder. Just as you finish reading, he looks up, muttering under his breath.
4th of February. That's over a month ago. Whoever set up those machines has been here for quite a while. Our case? No, I don't think so. It must be some local eccentric.
6th of February, 51. Had a little chat with the local fishermen. Said I shouldn't go near that place, that the church was spooky and ridden with narcotics. It's a little spooky, all right. Still haven't figured out the electricity. 7th of February, 51. Finally got the electricity in. Next on the agenda, a new antenna. I'm thinking ESCA series, something advanced.
Why would anyone need any of this equipment here?
8th of February, 51. Bought the antenna, had some problems setting it up. Called Simon for help. Heard the others are back to making art. Drinking somewhere out of town. Sulislav started a rock band again. Lexi has been seen asking money from strangers. But at least the artists have their act together. They're qualified labor. They can get work anywhere. Graphic design, ads. The programmers are doing fine too. I mean, they're programmers. The writers, though, they're fucked. I just have to find out what caused that data loss and be done with it. Still don't understand how it managed to wipe out the backup when the backup wasn't even connected to the front. I know. Everyone thinks it's impossible. They say I must be lying. I'm here to set it right.
Seems like something to do with radio computers. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about them to understand what the author is saying. Something about the backup data getting destroyed, and how everyone thought it was the author's fault. Let's just keep reading. I think these people worked in the radio computer games business, the one we saw in the Doom commercial area. They must be our former co-workers.
12th of February, 51. Brought some food from the grocery store. Apparently, there's a strike going on in the harbor. Definitely not happy to see the Martinez people again. Everything's now set up in the church. Going to start working tomorrow, 8 a.m.
The strike. We are nearing the date of the murder. Keep reading. I'm interested now. I want to know what's that radio anomaly that sent this person here in the first place.
25th of February, 51. I've been sending data up to Lintel for a while now, trying to recreate the data loss, but nothing. Didn't even feel like logging in, the disappointment. But I did discover a curious audio-spatial anomaly at the back of the church. I've named it the Swallow. It swallows sound. Need to get some mics.
Is she talking about?
28th of February, 51. Yes, the first recordings confirm that the Swallow is real and I'm not just losing my mind. It's a pillar of silence with a diameter of approximately 3 meters. Seems like the higher I go, the less I record. This might be a coincidence, or it could be connected to the data loss that led me here.
The pillar of silence. She is talking about the silence. Is she suggesting it's more than just an architectural quirk?
The lieutenant doesn't answer. He follows your gaze, studying the basins. The water shines in them. No ripples. March 51. Some kind of young disco men have appeared next to the church. I've been trying to record the silence to find the epicenter, but now it turns out I've also been capturing the future of dance music, one neo-disco song over and over again. Fortunately, the song is so monotonous, I was able to devise an algorithm to factor it out. The other day, one of the disco men came in. Before I could even say hello, she got scared and left. Good, I don't want anyone distracting me from my work. That disco man must be a cell.
A girl on the ice? Sounds like her, yes.
March 51. I got a call from the repeater station. Someone has tried to access the radio computer in our old office in Martinez. Can't do anything about it. The storekeeper still doesn't want to let me inside the building. Thinks I'm part of some kind of curse. How Martinez of her.
I knew it wasn't a good idea to meddle with that machine.
No, it was a great idea. You're learning things. This is how you learn things about machines. March 51. A new 2-meter aux cable. Noodles, crackers, ping energy drinks, water, toothpaste, gum. Also some canned air. Your reading is interrupted by the sound of the church door opening. A strange woman makes straight for the radio computer.
Breaking into my radio computer, I see.
Yes, you are breaking in, but not into her radio computer. You're a master circuit bender.
I do apologize for the intrusion, madame. We are with the RCM, you see.
Well, you won't find any music venue organizers here. It's just me and my computer, and it has been this way for weeks. Now please give me some room. I need 2 seconds to see that you haven't destroyed anything.
We should talk to her after she has rebooted the machine.
In white, silver, and apricot faience, the young mother of humanism stands above you. A crack runs across her body. She is impossibly tall, oval-faced and sad, a dark and radiant majesty. This is her innocence, Dolores Day. Cradled in her arms are a pair of glowing lungs, clearly visible from underneath her flowing dress. You should kneel. Your knees touch the floor. The floorboards are hard and cold. There you kneel among the snowdrifts, diffuse light falling on your hands from beyond the glass. The world is silent, but for the creaks and cracks of the massive wooden structure behind you, it covers you from the wind outside. The woman looks down at you kneeling. She towers among her followers, architects, laymen, courtiers. There is a sad smile on her lips and a glint in her green-blue eye of what? Compassion? Remorse? She acknowledges the passing of someone who is still alive. As that useless word passes through your mind, the lieutenant draws an X-shaped cross from shoulder to shoulder. Your fingertips touch your chest 4 times. Then you rise from your knees into the apricot-colored light of the window. Above you, the woman still smiles her distant smile, sundered by the crack in the glass. Despite the damage you've done to yourself, the title appears lodged in your hippocampus. This is Her Innocence, Dolores Day, the innocence of humanism, internationalism, and the welfare state. Perhaps the most famous human being ever to have lived. No amount of Commodore Red can wipe her sad smile from your brain thing. It has survived the deluge and haunts you still, and will haunt you forever as it haunts all men. The highest category of historic individual, an embodiment of the world spirit. In a way, an innocence is elected to office by the founding party, a precedent that has taken place a mere 6 times in the entirety of history. The legal system of the Real Belt is built from the ground up to accommodate an authentic rule should it coincide with our time. An innocence is infallible. The decisions made by one are not decisions. They are inevitabilities. What would have happened anyway? Only accelerated, packed into decades instead of centuries. An innocence is a continuous, compressed event, a sacred human being. It is an honor and a glory to live when one is in office. No, we are alone. 300 years ago, in the wake of the discovery of this Isola, the Insulindian, by explorers from the continent of Muindi, she is, among other things, the innocence of inter-isolary travel and the connected world. Many things, you know she was a woman of the court, the wife of an influential Marchese, and eventually the principal advisor to Irene La Navigateur, Queen of Suresnes, modern-day Sir La Clé, also that she was gorgeous beyond beauty. Terribly, Women of the court were expected to play both contract bridge and chess sufficiently well to prove an interesting challenge to a man. A simple grasp in matters of philosophy, theology, and science was encouraged. She was, by all means, a kept woman. She made the most of her position in the antediluvian court, a court visited by the most prominent thinkers and artists of the day. In secret, she was becoming the era's preeminent philosopher of the state, a scalpel, a piercing gaze. She was an almost preternaturally magnetic and intelligent individual. To her contemporaries, she appeared out of time, a messenger from the future of the species. We all fell in love with her, head over heels. Even before she was declared an innocence, her influence was tremendous. It was on her advice that Irene Le Navigateur sponsored a number of voyages into the Pale, a costly, often tragic endeavor, ultimately vindicated by the discovery of the new world, the piece of reality you're standing on. She was crowned 2 years after the first expedition returned, setting in motion what is widely considered the greatest era in history. The DeLorean era. Wow, indeed. When her innocence was declared, and the queen she had advised for years fell on her knees before her, she was so overcome with emotion that her lungs started glowing in her chest. Bystanders reported golden filaments lighting the already sunlit chamber around her, clearly visible beneath her dress. That is why the lungs are the symbol of love for the cultures of the Riel Belt. As did we all, the lands of the Mesk and the Occident, and even faraway Supremawindi, altogether 21 of the 40 Mundial nations of the time, immediately accepted Innocentic rule, even before her crowning. In a city called Advesperaskit in Vesper Messina, her homeland, the name of the city means evening comes, but it happened on a winter's morning with the canals frozen and slush falling out of the sky. She was dressed in a white and pearl dress on an emptied-out plaza with the crowd far away. Already, her Theriers, the secret servicemen of the Innocents, were worried about an assassination attempt. Oh yes, she looked like humanity's young mother, a perfect mother, insultingly beautiful. It was as if her face and shoulders and hands were covered in a soft down of underfeathers. You know this well, very well. Midwinter snow was beating the cobblestones around her. A small attaché of officials stood by as her Theriers placed a white gold wreath on her head. The crowning was mostly witnessed by Secret Servicemen. One of the men in this Secret Service killed her 22 years later, a young man who had come to suspect that Dolores Day was not entirely human, but something else, something that had walked in our midst, watching us stumble for hundreds, if not thousands of years, until it decided to interfere in the course of our history. We were supposed to come up with this ourselves, the man was reported to have screamed at the Innocents. Dolores Day was shot in the chest with a fowling piece 8 times. The man, thought to be insane, said he once touched her and her body had been unnaturally warm, like a furnace, and that sometimes, while on duty, he observed her forgetting to breathe for over 10 minutes. This inhuman quality was witnessed by many others as well, glowing lungs and all. It is commonly attributed to mass hysteria and religious psychology. Terrifying is a term too emotionally charged for your semantic memory, or what remains of it. But although she's often considered to be the greatest human being to ever live, there was something ominous about Dolores Day, constantly surrounded by her Theriers. She was the most socially secluded and least self-aware of all the Innocences. Some modern thinkers would consider her a war criminal. for the campaigns she waged against the Mesk state. And then there were the resettlement programs. The Mesk state tried to detach itself from Innocentic rule. Parts of the world were experiencing whiplash from accelerating into secularism. Her mandatory education programs and mass resettlement of upstream Marguerite were problematic as well. Dissenters were suppressed by a military force she called the Army of Humanity, suggesting those who fight against it are not part of humanity. She adored chess, yes, but also military war games. Dolores Day often holds a tiny tin soldier between her index finger and thumb in icons such as this. She was also blonde, the blondest woman you have ever seen, with green eyes the color of the Pacific, mare interregnum. Little is known of her Marchese husband. It's as if he vanished from history after completing his role, which was to introduce Dolores Day to court. In conclusion, yes, there is something lonely, paranoid, and even terrifying that people seldom mention, but feel when they think of her. This subtle terror is part of her iconography.
Lieutenant Yefrater, you've stood there for over 5 minutes. What are you thinking of, if I may ask? She's been dead for 300 years. I am almost 1,000% certain she isn't connected to the case. None of this is, in fact. This church, the coast, this isn't a good place to get lost in. The old woman in the village was right. This must be the DeLorean Church of Humanity in Martinez, or the small Pinewood Church in some records. It's a minor landmark, not easy to find. Most maps misplace it. It was built not long after Ravachol's founding, 300 or so years ago, by first-generation settlers.
On the coast of an uninhabited archipelago where only animals had roamed before, in the wild reeds.
There used to be 7 stave churches on the coast. Les Sept Sœurs, they call them, the 7 sisters. Only one remains. The rest were burnt in the revolution or used for building materials. We should be respectful here, although the building appears to be deserted. I do not believe we'll find anything connected to the lynching here. Something else, perhaps?
Respectful? Is the lieutenant a follower of DeLoreanism?
Yes, we all are. Her name, body, and rule are synonymous with humanism. The laws we enforce are DeLorean in origin.
The woman looks by in silence, smiling enigmatically.
It's not spiritual, it's constitutional. The DeLorean system does not demand faith, only accordance.
A jigsaw of broken shards falls into place in front of you, a ghostly reconstruction of the stained glass window. Before it was shattered, there was an older woman beneath the younger one, and a text, a light motif below them both. Unknown. A motor carriage? A gunshot? Someone falling into it? Or maybe just hooligans looking for something to break? The escutcheon on her throne says, Irene the Navigator. She is depicted as an older woman wearing thick-rimmed eyeglasses, holding a golden rights apfel in one hand and a scepter in the other. This is the queen her innocence day advised. Above, she herself is whole. Small figures of wise men, common men, worshippers walk up the stairs to stand at her feet. Secret servicemen, farriers, stand in a row guarding her. It must have taken years to produce this work in all its dizzying detail. Below both women, in luminous black letters, Après la vie, mort. après la mort, la vie de nouveau. And then along the left side, après le monde, la gré, après le gré, le monde de nouveau. After life, death. After death, life again. After the world, the pale. After the pale, the world again. This is the great leitmotif of humanism, a summary of the effect of the discovery of this isola, the Insulindian, on human thinking, a tremendous sea change akin to finding life after death. Could these words be the password that unlocks the filament memory?
Death, life again. After the world, the pale. After the pale, the world again. This exaltation is common in Dolorian sacralism. In the early years, it was even incorporated as the RCM slogan. No more, however. It was deemed subservient to use a strongly moral intern-related motto. We already suspected of bootlicking. The sentence was also seen as too feminine. It was a macho thing. Justice, union, prudence, and force. You are brutal and dumb.
The mother of humanism towers above you, a wax paint.
Yes, we all are. Her name, body, and rule. I have no idea what you mean by that. We've been standing here long enough. Yes, we all are.
The woman.
I have no... Yes.
The woman looks by.
It's not spiritual. It's Yes, we all are. It's not spirit. Yes, we all are. I have no idea.
What is it? I am Soona Luukkanen-Kilde, the former lead programmer of Fortress Accident and RSA radios. I have over 16 years of programming experience, and I'm proficient in both Vox and Orbis languages. If you're not here to hire me, I don't really know how I can help you.
Did she say over 16 years of experience? She must have started programming when she was still a teenager. That still doesn't answer what she's doing in an abandoned church.
No. Yes. And I don't care. I don't care about crap men. I brought them here. These are my machines. Please don't touch anything. I use the AR-1 as my RAIN prefix processing unit. Yes? You really don't know anything about radio computers, do you? All right. Well, all radio computers perform operations up on air. So in order to gain more processing power, you need to invest in a good antenna. On the front, the unified front of radio waves, licensed and controlled by Lintel in the East Insulindic region. It's all around us. That's what on air means.
Like love.
I guess it is. So far I've been quite satisfied with it. Martinez is an unstable region with bad coverage, and the operation has been surprisingly stable. But it's not the cheapest one on the market, so I wouldn't recommend it for your regular red tape operations. Fraser 1000 is a foolproof line for civilians. Anyway, you should do some research before you decide to buy anything. Ask around, compare the prices. There are many milieus dedicated to that sort of thing. I'm working. Could you just shh for a moment? Or get to the point. I really need to focus on something. So you do know something about computers. You're right. Prefect is used mostly by the government peeps. No, I don't. Because I needed something good for my investigation, and Reims Civic is widely agreed to be below all standards, so I had to upgrade. Besides, owning a Reims prefect isn't such a big deal anymore.
No, actually, it is kind of a big deal. You don't see Ream prefects in every police department, for example.
I know a friend of a friend who used to freelance for the Coalition. I was actually aiming for the military-grade Reim Rational series, but couldn't find one. Prefect is mainly based on the same technology as Reims Civic, so it's kind of a rip-off. But it does have better compatibility with newer antenna models, so I won't complain. They are connected to my Reim Prefect. Whatever you do, just please don't move them, okay? Thanks.
Short and terse. There you have it. Whatever she's using them for, they're hers.
Great. You really like those questions, don't you? I'm conducting scientific research here. You can't throw me out. I'm looking for the location of a 2mm hole in the world.
Wait, what? She's looking for a disruption in the radio waves. That's what her personal log said. The lieutenant raises his brows, but doesn't say anything.
Yes, that's what led me here. But I suspect it might be something a bit more complicated than that.
Exactly. What does it mean? Up to now, it has been impossible to say what it is because it's impossible to measure nothing. What do you think it is? What qualities does nothing have? How do you measure something that does not exist?
Easy. You measure it by the world around it.
I don't know. Are we? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. But how do I figure it out?
You measure it by its surroundings, by that which does exist, which is what I've been trying to do. I've tried using hydro transducers to record the silence, to find out where it begins.
Hydro transducers. So that's what those water basins are. Devices for recording sound through water.
But honestly, it's not progressing very well. Somewhere underneath those roof beams, I assume. There's this place at the back of the church, a place where all audible vibrations seem to decease. I've named it the Swallow, and the higher you go, the less you record.
The Pillar of Silence? Are you sure it's not just an architectural quirk?
Maybe, but it's oddly close to the physical coordinates of the data loss that led me to this place. I know. No, I don't. Because it's just trial and error, trying to locate the Swallow, the exact point in space. And I don't have a... You know what? It would be really helpful if you could just stop talking and let me work. Great. Thanks. The Swallow, you mean? What about it? Yes, that's what led... Great. Thanks. What? I hate it.
I bet she hasn't even heard it.
Maybe I'd have to be on drugs to get it, but to a sober mind it just sounds like uninspired rug whipping. No idea what it has to do with either dancing or music.
This is about those speed freaks in the tent, isn't it? I've got some news for you. It's not a nightclub they want to build here.
Take a guess, why don't you? I can't believe they got you so easily. Go have another talk with those up-and-coming entrepreneurs, will you?
Good luck. I'm not coming in there.
The Swallow, you mean? What about it? Because it's just trial and I don't have a... Great. Thanks.
Hello again. Aussie heavyweight jam. Hardcore! It's hardcore! Skibber D, skibber danger. I am the rearranger.
Huh? I see you're here again. The sticker. You mean the yellow one? Can you describe it to me?
Interesting. He wants you to describe it, though he already knows what it looks like.
So I can hear you do it. Sometimes the outside gaze helps us reflect on things.
Noid, don't bother our guests with your games.
Piss off, Andre. Me and Mr. Cop are trying to discuss art.
You shouldn't talk like that.
Right, noted. Sorry. Anyway, what was it like? Oh, wow. Right on your cop ledger. You like it? Hey, it kinda does look like you. Surely a sign of things to come. What did you want to ask about it? The dead guy's smiling. He defeated history. We are living in the age of history, and in the eyes of history, we are always already dead. How can we ever smile then? Because history is a lie, and so are its deaths. The present moment and life are the hardcore. The hardcore expels death. Or maybe he's not dead. Maybe he's just really ecstatic about the beats. Simplicity was brought to us by a classical soul artist modernism, but that was a tasteful, harmonious simplicity, right? Well, hardcore is not tasteful or outwardly harmonious. It's a warning shot. This will be dangerous. The echo of man's loss haunting him. The sticker, the clothes, the music, same thing. It is. I guess one could write an entire treatise on the thing. But what for? Nah. Still strongly out of sync. Stage gamma disalignment. You heard me.
Hi again. So, how are things going? And? What happened? Oh man! Who is he? What did you think? Really? Huh. Interesting. What's he doing in the church?
No matter. Is he gonna be a problem?
Yeah, Noid is right. Let's get back to the point. What are we gonna do about him?
These guys will never catch him. You will never catch him. There's nothing to do.
I don't know, man. Doesn't it feel like a major hindrance to you? A spooky guy climbing around when all the guests are trying to have nice, friendly hyper time?
I guess it's not a massive problem, now that I think of it.
Everyone is welcome to dance till the morning light! Yeah!
Maybe. I guess we'll figure something out. Okay, but what about the other spooker? The one in Grandma's clothes? Did you see her? A programmer? That's odd. What was she like? Did you ask her about the nightclub? Come on, man. Who will you trust? A spooky programmer or us? We just want to make the world a better place.
Feel the love! Get down and feel it!
A half-hearted sell of something which does not seem worth buying.
You'll get there, believe me. When we've got our gear set up, things will be flowing and pumping. Anyway, now that it's settled, how did she seem? I mean, disposition-wise, about the dance club idea. Yeah, owed her 9. Rocking it or dropping it.
What a pity! That's my favourite thing in the world! And she doesn't like it at all!
A shame. What can we do now? Do you see a way out of this jam? And into a laser-lit future of dance and unity?
Unity! Dance!
And you can't just evict her?
Look at you, honour man!
No, Noid. He's right. Maybe we've approached it the wrong way after all. I'm sure there's a workaround. We can make a deal not to bother her. If that's okay with her, we only want to get in the church and spread the joy and ecstasy of music.
The lines in the dark exist! Coexist!
At least Crabman seems like an advanced being. He's hard. He'll understand.
Yeah, he can do his climbing thing in the tower. And the programmer, does she like Nordic dance music?
Egghead cannot believe what you just said. It makes him pump the jam a little slower for a moment, but then he returns to the full swing of it.
No worries. We'll figure it out. If coexisting fails, you can always muscle her out, right? If it's all okay with you, what do you think? Excellent! Good luck, my friend.
A number of things don't add up. Let's take a look. How about gather around, kids? The young speed freak puts down a busted capacitor and looks at you. The one with the large head seems very enthusiastic about whatever you have planned. Their would-be leader is less amused.
But you still are.
What happened? I've been trying to say we need the next step in dance music to happen fast!
Shut it!
What? I have! I've said that!
The young speed freak is silent.
Fuck, man. It's difficult to get along with some people, but we're trying to make an effort. We are on a mission here. I have no idea how you arrived at that conclusion, but it's wrong. Look, we even have speakers.
One speaker. They have one speaker.
What do you know about spinning tape? Nothing. I'm sorry, but there is no lab equipment and no drug ingredients. What do you mean, friend? It's a one-speaker system. It's monodynamic. You wouldn't know the first thing about sound reproduction in anodic music. Other speaker.
This may be the brain damage talking, but you've definitely never heard of monodynamic or one-speaker systems.
And of all cellular-based life, what's your point, Lawbringer?
No shit. That's... Come on, that's... I meant to say, not true. What do you mean, do?
There's resignation in his voice. He's almost ready to drop the act. It wouldn't take a lot of pushing.
Or else...
Okay, man, okay. Things are just so hard for an entrepreneur in this city right now. It's not like we lied when we said we want to turn a church into the wickedest club in East Revershall.
Because we do! We totally do!
We just need to turn it into a speed lab before.
to get our foot in the door.
Like I told you, spooky arseholes moved in while I was getting all this stuff together. A month ago, the place was empty, and now it's all spooked up. No, man, they're spooky all right. It's just that they would also probably call the police if we started cooking speed in there.
But the sign was way off too. I couldn't feel the love at all.
Whatever you think is right, sir. But please, we were only trying to make a living.
Yeah!
I knew it. It's impossible now.
No, Andre, it's harder now. This hard cop has come to show us how much the fish is, and the fish is always so much more. We all know there was never going to be a club for Nordic music with the Speed Lab. Now it has a fighting chance. There needs to be a club for Nordic music in there. Needs to. Everyone hates each other. Everybody hates it here. It's all just drugs and we're slaves and I can't. We are running out of time. We need a win, Andre. I promise this will be a win. We won't cook speed in there. We'll do it clean. We'll do it true. We'll do it sober and real and beautiful. This will be a victory for the light.
This will be nothing. You can hear the ice crack underneath you. Outside, the last century waterfront development is crumbling in the wind, a grape-shot row of falling houses. And so is Rue de Saint-Giraud and all the houses on Main Road. The old cinema is sinking underneath Villa La Bosse.
What? Okay, we'll try to do it without the drugs. We'll do a straight club up in there, spinning the maddest reels and nothing but, I swear to God. Okay, Egg?
From here on, it'll be straight all the way.
Goodbye, officer.
The litany of Contact Mike. 5,000 to 1 rank outsider. No one saw it coming. The mantle of a game changer demands intangible qualities. Fights are not won. You're thinking instead of doing detective work right now. Fights are made, blow by blow. Let's take it, Mike to the Mikey. Some low-intensity part of you has entered a sports cliché-driven fugue state, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Also, Mike knew what it took to win. He just wanted it more.
Hello again. I did, and I'm sorry. For what it's worth, which isn't much.
This is why I didn't go into the tent. Typical delinquency.
You don't get to choose your posse, they choose you. Mine are idiots, but they're mine. I tried to talk Andre out of it. I even tried not to lie to you.
Indeed, she merely tried to omit the truth instead.
Okay, but I still regret it. I should have been able to control them, and I will in the future. I promise. May I ask, what did you tell them? Thank you. I'll get them under wraps, I promise.
Yes, what is it? I don't want to make anything work. Yes, anything. I don't want to make anything work.
Hey, her Innocence Dolores Day liked little figurines, right? Liked holding little men between her fingers, remember? You have the Headless Falcon Rider figurine. You should give it to her. Win her back. So very, very, very nifty. Nifty and mysterious. This is surely what the figurines are for. The mother of humanism stands above you, a precious and complex wax painting on a single pane of glass. A crack runs across the length of her body. Why? That does seem to be a problem. Maybe you meant something else? I don't know. What are we thinking of? Part of your mind has gone on to other things already. The mother of humanism towers above you. A wax painting on a cracked pane of glass. Why? That does seem to be a problem. The mother of...
Yes, what is it?
Hey, what makes the world go round? She stares at the terminal, completely oblivious to her...
Interesting. A police officer trying to evict a citizen from a public space, despite the Wayfarer Act.
Ah, but there is, and it protects me. The Wayfarer Act states that citizens have the right to gather in public spaces unless they're disrupting the public order.
And she's not. Disrupting any order, I mean.
I'm a circuit bender, and no one ever has anything against circuit benders.
You see, a once bright
Looks like tomorrow never came. Looks like tomorrow never. Looks like tomorrow never came. Looks like tomorrow.
This is the trap Morel just set. Checking it over, he said, is just a technicality. But the reeds by the abandoned campsite sway and tremble while the snow falls all around. The later it gets, the colder. Remnants of the camp can still be seen in the sand. The fire that's gone out. You feel strange, somehow. This trap is also full of panicked locusts. No sign of any cryptozoological beast inside.
Another empty trap. Yep. The next one has a crab trapped in it. These are just crab traps, you do realize.
The reed, the later it... This trap's not too hard to spot, once you know what to look for. Keeping it hidden has not been a priority for the cryptos. Behind you, the ruins of a residential building loom over the reeds. They whisper amongst themselves. Confidentially, snowflakes cling to their shivering stems. When this district was booming, the reeds were kept at bay. Nothing obscured the freshly painted facades. Nowhere for drunks and adventurous teenagers to hide. Now only the wind blows. Nothing but locusts in this trap as well. Definitely no cryptozoological monstrosity.
Empty as all of them. One more of these and we're done. I'm just glad we haven't found some poor cat trapped in one of these.
A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other. A row of ghostly shades stand facing the wall. There are many of them, a dozen at least, their heads lowered and eyes blindfolded. It's quiet, no sound, no movement. 10 meters away, other shades are lined up in an orderly manner. Automatic rifles primed. A gust of wind blows by. The coats of the firing squad flap slowly in the breeze. A single person stands on the side. Snowflakes fall on the wooden planks and the surrounding sand dunes, covering the land with the white of innocence. A long time has passed since the moment of this fusillading. Rain and brine have since washed all the blood away. Not a trace remains. The abundance of bullet holes leads to two options. Either an inordinate amount of executions were performed here, or they did not use a conscience round, where only one soldier has the loaded rifle. Looks like this was a mass execution with everyone fully armed. A host of men, probably in everyday clothes, ragged from the conflict and covered in dust. They were not sitting, a common practice for executions in some nations, as demonstrated by the height level of the bullet holes. They stand, facing the wall. It's impossible to discern any details about their personality or background. 7 men in combat uniforms and dark coats, holding automatic rifles aimed at the people. Soldiers from some side, but from which one? The commandant, the one who gives the order. Machine gun fire crackling through the air. The lights of the muzzle flashes dancing on his face.
I don't know. I don't know who died here, lined up beside that horrible wall. It could have been any of the parties involved in the revolution. Perhaps the ones executed here were the loyalist conservatives, killed by the communists at the start of the Civil War. Or it could have been the communists, put to death during the last stretch of the conflict by the coalition forces.
Remember what Trent Heidelstein said about Veld?
Another likely scenario.
Or maybe...
Yeah, it's very unlikely the coalition forces were the ones who died here. They were always the last ones against the wall. To be honest, if a coalition member was anyone in this situation, it was a commandant, the superior giving the orders.
A cold sea wind blows away the figures.
Aye, the sea's gonna calm down soon. I can feel it.
It takes you a moment. The reeds bend forlornly toward the sand. Snow covers the broken stalks like a shroud, and they shimmer, ghostly, in the darkness. In the east, the city center hums to you. The constant, distant song, louder on this part of the coast, nearer somehow. And there's that cold again, always the cold. The trap feels light and silent as you pick it up. Something is different here. No locust. No phasmid either. but still.
Well, the bait worked on something. This doesn't mean it was a reed monster, though. Unless you see one in there, I just see an empty trap. Right. Anyway, that's for the cryptozoologists to figure out now. We are not cryptozoologists. We are cops.
The old woman still sits in her chair, continuing with, "There's a gap where the name of that song should be. You should ask her about it, right?"
Yes, I can't really sleep anymore. Only a few hours a night. It happens when you grow older. My suggestion is, don't. Don't grow any older than you already are. That's old enough. What's troubling your mind? I can wash it for you, but it's going to take about a half an hour. Think you can stay put for that long?
I could use a breather. It's been another track and field day.
Well, hand it over then, and I'll see what I can do. Must say, I'm proud of this one. It's pretty nice underneath all that filth. I hope you take better care of it than its last owner. A lullaby my mother used to sing. I sang it to my kids too. It's an old Samaran children's song. Surrender to the night.
That's kind of grim for a children's song, even if it is a lullaby.
Yes, it does.
Tequila sunset. My jacket?
A look of consternation crosses the man's face. He looks at you, then at his bottle, then back at you.
What the fuck are you talking about, Tequila? Faum? That's medium concept stuff, not my style at all. I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe you should lay off the booze. It's fucking with your head.
It becomes abundantly clear to you how this man managed to lose his keys, business, friends, and girlfriend. I'm calling it. It's neurological.
You know what? Fine. Maybe I can pawn it for some booze.
Aye, good thinking.
Great news. The boat is big enough for a grown man like you to fit underneath it in a supine position. I don't know. Sleeping? What do people do under boats? This is merely a measurement from your visual cortex.
Everything's still cool here, officer.